What is going down, everyone? Now, of course, yes, it is NFL season. 49ers are 3-0 and now in first place thanks to the Rams losing to the Buccaneers yesterday. But yesterday, of course, the Niners did have a bye week, and something as far as the Bay Area sports scene is concerned happened in downtown San Francisco at Oracle Park as Bruce Bochy, the first manager to lead the San Francisco Giants to a World Series victory, and of course, he led them to two more after that, retired yesterday after managing the club since 2007. And of course, Bruce Bochy has been in baseball in general forever. He was a player from 1978 to 1987, played for the Astros, the Mets, and the Padres, and then managed the Padres from 1995 to 2006. And then, of course, managed the Giants from 2007 to 2019. Now, from a personal standpoint with me, I started following sports in 2007, and the first sport I started following was baseball. And I had moved from Palo Alto, California, the San Francisco Bay Area, to Arizona, the Phoenix area. 3 years earlier, 2004 was when I moved. In 2007, when I started liking sports, I had a memory of going to a San Francisco Giants game. I was then Pac Bell Park in about 2003. And I decided to, with all the memories of that, I decided to like the Giants, like the 49ers, like the Warriors, like the Sharks, casually like Stanford since that's where I was born, like all the teams from where I had originally been born and originally been from, despite the move. But Bruce Bochy was, of course, the manager of the Giants. He became the manager that exact year when I started following baseball and started following sports in general. But of course, baseball was the first sport that I really followed. I remember I had watched some of the Super Bowls before that and followed the NFL a little bit. But when I actually first started following sports, actually knowing what was going on, baseball and the Giants were the first sport I followed. Of course, I was in about April 2007. I started going to some spring training games here. Remember seeing Bonds at a spring training game and being blown away. Of course, 2007 was also the last year of Barry Bonds. So Bruce Bochy's first year managing the Giants was also Barry Bonds' last year playing in Major League Baseball and for the Giants. And of course, he hit 756 that year to break the great Hank Aaron's record and ended up finishing with 762 home runs, the most of anyone to play the game. And Bruce Bochy, of course, ended up being a phenomenal part of the Giants. And 2007 was just where it all started. The Giants did not have that good a year in that year. Barry Zito was signed to that big contract that offseason. He struggled that year, but so besides Barry breaking the record, that was pretty much a down year in 2007. In 2008 in spring training, actually, I got Bruce Bochy's autograph, and I remember meeting him and all that, and how cool that was in spring training. That was when I was 11 years old. So 2008, 2009, 2008, the Giants don't do anything. 2008, they almost get the wild card. 2010, we're in the All-Star break. They had a hot start, but then they're struggling. And almost every Giants fan you'd ask wants not only Brian Sabean, the general manager since '97 at that point, fired because of the team's struggles the last decade, almost. Not only did they want Brian Sabean fired, but they wanted the manager Bruce Bochy fired as well because the team was not producing, so they wanted someone to blame, and they thought that a new face managing was the answer. But what they did not realize was that the manager had nothing to do with the struggles. And of course, later, after the All-Star break, it was a completely different story. And Bruce Bochy claimed that he was a very smart manager when the Giants played the Dodgers in August of 2010. And Don Mattingly, Dodgers manager at the time, took out Jonathan Broxton or I'm sorry, he had a mound visit with Jonathan Broxton, and then went back to the dugout, and then started to realize, hey, I forgot to tell him something. Then went back out to the mound, and of course Bruce Bochy called him on that. Told the umpire, explained to him that he went back into the mound twice, which was against the rules, and the pitcher has to come out. And of course, Jonathan Broxton had to come out, and he did come out, and the Giants ended up winning that game in extra innings, and they ended up going on to have an incredible 2010 run. They won the division, Bochy battling his former team that he played for and managed for years, the San Diego Padres. They were in the lead for the NL West, but the Giants passed them. They got that division title, and then they found themselves playing the Braves in the NLDS. They beat them, and then they played the Phillies in the NLCS. They beat them. They played the Rangers in the World Series, and they got their first World Series win as the San Francisco Giants, and their first World Series win since they were the New York Giants in 1954. 2011, Giants didn't make the playoffs despite being in the run. But then 2012, they win the World Series again, having 6 elimination games in the playoffs. And they ended up sweeping the Detroit Tigers in the 2012 World Series. 2013, they also don't make the playoffs. But then 2014, they win the World Series again. This time, beating the Kansas City Royals in 7 games, led by the dominant pitching performance from Madison Bumgarner. And of course, in 2010, 2012, Tim Lincecum as a starter in 2010 and out of the bullpen in 2012 was a big part of the Giants' pitching success, as well as Matt Cain, of course. And Tim Lincecum, yesterday at Bruce Bochy's final game, made an appearance. He was there, part of the ceremony, got a great cheer, great ovation, of course, because he was the face of the franchise back then. And Brian Wilson, the closer, who everyone loved, also made an appearance. So, just incredible managerial career for Bruce Bochy. 3 World Series in 5 years, 4 National League pennants altogether. He led the Padres to a National League championship as well, and a World Series appearance as well. But Bruce Bochy is going to go down as one of the greatest managers in San Francisco Giants history. He has 2,003 wins. Of course, he got his 2,000 wins a couple weeks ago in Boston against the Red Sox, which was a historic 3-game series, as well as Mike Yastrzemski, the grandson of Red Sox great Carl Yastrzemski, hit a home run in Fenway Park. So just a historic series, the Giants versus Red Sox in general, and that could only be finished by Bruce Bochy getting his 2,000th win, and he ended up having 2,003 career wins in general, and his managerial record was 2,003 and 2,029. So a great, successful career for Bruce Bochy, and he will be missed. And of course, he was the manager throughout the entire time I followed the San Francisco Giants team. So it's going to be weird not having him be the manager next year, and I'm already wondering who they're going to get to replace him, and that is going to be a tough role to replace. Now, him having 3 World Series, of course, also being a Warriors fan, I've seen Steve Kerr win 3 World Series, but no one ever talked about firing Steve Kerr, of course, because he won a championship his first year. Bruce Bochy was a manager that people talked about him being fired in 2010, the year before they win the World Series. The same thing with Brian Sabean, the general manager. And then they win the World Series, their first one in San Francisco. How crazy is that? Like, how crazy is that for a manager and a general manager to prove everyone wrong and get a championship when everyone is doubting them? I mean, that is just how awesome sports is right there. And Bruce Bochy defined baseball. He's been around baseball since 1978, and now he's finally going to retire. Finally, spend some time with his wife, with his family in general.